Tony D and Little Joan with a screenwriter's rant on She Came from the Woods, a movie that is done in classic 80 slasher style. Smash like and subscribe. Thank you for smash liking and subscribing. Check out my books, links in the description. Comedy horror in South Jersey. It's the Pineys. Books 1 through 10 available at Amazon.com. Don't forget, Kindle Unlimited is free. So the setup is it's a summer camp in the 80s. It's definitely in the 80s. The music's very clear on that. The hairstyles, that's not 80s hairstyle, by the way. But supposed to be in the 80s. And then there's this legend of some nurse that, I don't know, did horrible things to the kids. And you can summon her ghost by pointing up in the air and screaming her name. And so they do that, or they're practicing, like, scaring the kids, and they're going to tell the story. And then, of course, it summons her. She starts murdering people. She takes control of the kids. She makes the kids attack you, I guess, and she collects the kids' blood, and I don't know, it just turns into a free-for-all of campers versus the people who run the camp. There's, I guess, this might be the fake-out moment in the movie where they actually create the fake nurse, and then they go running. One of the kids is on crutches. That's I think a running gag in the movie. And then they start dying. The interesting thing is they do have a sense of humor about this movie. So there's one kid on crutches, and the counselor's like, "Come on, hurry up!" And he's like, "I'm on crutches, you D," which is very 80s take. That was from. There was a bit like that in Meatballs, I remember. Here's Pizza Time, which is supposed to be Domino's. The guy's car barely runs, and they're trying to get out of the woods. And he's like, "Don't turn off the car. People are dying." And they just want to get in his car and leave. And he's just trying to deliver a pizza. So all sorts of crazy things happen. Here are the kids going nuts, killing them. It was just a campfire story, and now there's more. She Came from the Woods, written and directed by Eric Bloomdust and Carson Bloomdust, the Bloomdust brothers. I'm sorry, written and edited by Eric and Carson Bloomdust, directed by Eric Bloomdust, produced by the Bloomdust brothers, Cara Bueno, William Sadler, and Adam Wepler. Are they in the movie too? Well, Adam Kepler is. He's in it. Boy, this lettering's tough to read. I don't recognize any of the other names. Oh, there's Eric Bloomdust. He's in it as well. Eric doing a lot of the work here. He's editing, he's producing, he's directing, he's writing it, and he's starring in it. Good for you, man. Good for you. Respect. And this movie looks fun. It looks like a fun slasher movie, for lack of a better term. Which one is Eric? I have no idea. Probably the most gregarious character, if you're doing a Taika Waititi. You know, he's probably the guy with the blonde mohawk who gets killed. Possibly this older guy, but I doubt it. He's probably the one sort of name actor they could have gotten. I just love this. Here's who I'm just gonna guess that this is Eric here. Yeah, I'm down with this. Oh, it's 1987. Okay, it does confirm. In 1987, a group of counselors accidentally unleash a decades-old evil the last night of summer camp. Yeah, this is a movie. It's got all the 80s tropes. It's got all slasher tropes. You can make fun jokes about, you know, where we are now as opposed to where we are in 87. I mean, look, the whole 80s thing is getting a little long in the tooth, but people love the 80s, so it's not a bad place to go. I'm waiting for somebody to do something in the 2000s, but yeah, I guess we're not there yet. It's kind of hard because really the 80s, I think why the 80s keeps coming back is it was one of those last times that seemingly had a distinctive time period in the culture. At least one that people like, I'll say. But at the time, we really didn't see it that way. We saw it as, you're trying to do like the 50s thing. And that was like part of it, but it kind of turned into its own thing. But then the 90s did have a kind of grunge look, kind of its own thing. It was sort of a response. Then late 90s it got more goth and emo, and then I don't know, 2000s we went nuts with 9/11, and it was super pro-American for a while, which now I long for those days. At that time I complained about it, but now I'm like, ugh. And then nothing for a while. So I guess you really got to look back on the time before you can really get a sense of what the culture was. Either that or our culture is just so atomized it's not really making anything anymore, which is sad. Which is why I make the Pineys. Anyhow, first act, classic horror movie fashion. It's a happy-go-lucky summer camp on its last day. Everybody's having a good time. Camp Briarbrook. Oh, we're all having a good time. Then the counselors, I don't know, they summon the nurse like Candyman, and they're planning on doing a thing, but they've gone too far. They've accidentally summoned her. Weird things start to happen. At first they ignore it or justify it in some way, rationalize it, but more and more people die or disappear, and then eventually they're like, oh my god, we have to save the campers. And the kids attack them, and they, I don't know, I guess they're killing the kids. I don't know if they're actually killing the kids. That would be a little much. But it looks like the kids do attack them. Maybe it's a misunderstanding. Maybe the counselors warned them and then the kids just attack them by accident. But she does go after the kids. So I assume they're trying to save the kids. I don't see a lot of kids in the later half of the trailer, so maybe they all disappear and they're trying to save them. And then the third act, they figure out something. See, the kids look a little sinister, so maybe they are killing the kids or trying to save them or trying to stay away from them long enough to destroy the nurse. She came from the woods. So, I don't know. Third act, I mean, it could go a lot of different ways, but if it's a typical slasher movie, they send the ghosts packing and escape the woods, or some of them do, and, you know, the people who... Now, there's no sex in... There doesn't appear to be a lot of sex in the movie. Like, in the old days, that would be the 80s trope, right? Oh, let's go back to the cabin and do it. Oh, yeah. And then they start doing it, and then, you know, Jason Voorhees comes and stabs them both through the torso, like a shish kebab. But that's apparently not in the mix here, so that's interesting. A little different, I guess, from the 80s stuff. But I would see this. I would see this because they seem to be having fun with it. Eric seems to be, you know, got a tongue-in-cheek kind of thing about it. So I'm not sure he's old enough to have been in the 80s, but, you know, it might be fun to see a younger guy's take on the 80s. We'll see. But I would give it a chance. I probably wouldn't go to the movies for it, but I'd watch it video on demand. Definitely if it came on a streaming service, I'd probably see it. So, She Came from the Woods. A flashback to the 80s. If you like classic slasher stuff with a bit of a sense of humor. And that's it for me, Tony D and Little Joan. Check us out on Odysee, Bitchute, and Rumble for our more base takes. We got 2 other videos every day, 4 videos, 2 on YouTube, 2 on the other platforms. We'll see you in the next one.